Two of the top teams in the East trying to keep pace on Sunday. Toronto Raptors sitting in the second spot in the East. Philadelphia 76ers holding on to the fourth spot. And they had to play without Joel Embiid, and did they miss him? But really, Joel Embiid wouldn't have had to guard this guy. C.J. McCollum came on a mission which required a higher position. 6 for 6 from the field to start the game. CJ, 26 points in the first half, 19 in the second quarter.
He was cooking tonight, just had every aspect of his offensive game flowing, and the Sixers had no answer.
Third quarter, more of the same. And what's a Blazers highlight without Dame?
It's Dame time, but unfortunate enough for Portland, it was Dame time chilling on the bench in the fourth quarter.
Dame only took 10 shots, but CJ kept going to work. 13 for 18 from the field, 35 points. Cooled down in the second half, mainly because they didn't really need him.
Yeah.
Blazers shot a season high from the field, 59%, and a season high from the field from three-point range at 54%. Jimmy Butler just 2 for 12 from the field. Chicago and Toronto. Robin Lopez, he got played, Candace.
You know it's bad when the mascot plays.
But that's not a good idea because Robin.
Be careful. Be careful.
Oh, boy. He'll get you back.
Did he get him a facial?
He's going to get fined.
Probably not.
Look,
The karma got him. Here.
I tell you, he might not get fined, but he was shacking a fool there for a little while.
Yeah, Zach LaVine, that counts as a field goal attempt.
Was that
Let's
a butt
see it
fumble?
one more time.
Was that a butt fumble?
Hold on, let me see. Oh, and then he flopped. Wait, he flopped.
You flop when your own teammate hits you. Oh, my goodness. Oh, my.
And, karma worked out for Zach LaVine on the other end, at least for this one bucket. Not his best shooting night.
Yeah, he shot 3 for 17 from tonight. Obviously, last game came off the injury, had a great game, 10 of 18 from the field. Tonight just didn't go his way.
Everything went Kawhi Leonard's way as he found multiple ways to score. The Raptors ahead. How about a Diesel Dunks nominee?
Oh!
My goodness. Ibaka?
Chris Dunn catches him, but
He got.
even
Yeah.
better, how about Jonas Valanciunas? I'm glad I'm out of the game. That's on you, buddy.
Looking like the most interesting man.
Kawhi Leonard, very often the most intriguing man. Really, we don't know what he's thinking. But we know he had 27 points, 9 rebounds, and you notice the Chicago Bulls, just 89 points, second lowest scoring night against Toronto this season. Defense prevailing. So we see the Raptors handle their business, and they currently sit in second place in the Eastern Conference. And this year they've been in first place for a long period of time. The Milwaukee Bucks currently occupy that spot. They've had a lot of injuries. Kawhi Leonard sitting out the second night of back-to-backs. Kyle Lowry missing 6 of the last 7 games. So Jonas Valanciunas on the bench there. Those injuries caught up with them, and are they still your favorites in the East?
Well, the way that they were playing at the beginning of the season has been hampered by missing your point guard in Kyle Lowry. There were numerous games where Kawhi sat out and they were able to win and win handily against great opponents. And the Clippers, as well as beating Golden State, the Lakers on their West Coast swing. So I think their main concern right now should be getting your point guard back healthy, and so that he can play meaningful games in March and April.
Yeah, and because of all those injuries, if you look up, they got to be happy with where they are, because your goal to be the 1 seed still very much intact. And I think if they get healthy, they'll get an opportunity to get more continuity, because that's the one thing. Remember, this is Kawhi's first year. It's a challenge when you bring in a guy of his caliber, because his game's different than DeMar's. And so everybody's kind of has to adjust to that. But I think they've done a pretty good job with it overall. His transition in terms of his impact on the games has been pretty seamless, and I think that's going to continue to play itself out as they move forward. I just think that Eastern Conference, man, it's going to be a heavyweight battle, because Toronto, as we see, we're not even talking about Boston. They're still going to be there, and they're going to be a factor once we get closer to the postseason, even Philadelphia. So I just think it's setting up to be a really, really intriguing matchup in terms of seeding. Who gets who in the second round? It may determine ultimately who can get to that conference final.
Candace, we saw what happened with Philadelphia. It seems like their three guys are as good as any three guys in the league when you talk about Ben Simmons, Joel Embiid, and Jimmy Butler. But with Embiid out and Jimmy Butler going 2 for 12, they weren't competitive. Whereas you look at Toronto, they're a deeper team. How do you view Philadelphia in the postseason if they have issues if one of those guys are out?
Well, Philadelphia in the postseason last year was a problem because of their in-game situations. That inability to have a guy down the stretch that had playoff experience that you could throw the ball to. You can't obviously bet on injuries in terms of if anybody's unhealthy and their main guy's missing, then of course they're going to lack something on the offensive and defensive end. But I think this season, with Jimmy Butler being kind of implemented within the offense, him ending games a lot of the time for Philly and ending games well. I mean, they've taken a huge jump forward. But to add to that, they're missing two role players in Covington and Sarge that they had a year ago that are able to provide that defensive, input, but also be able to knock down the three-point shot for them to have spacing for Ben Simmons to attack.
Yeah, and keep in mind, they got beaten 5 games in the second round. So they've added more. It may not show in the regular season, but come postseason, I think this group better suited to make a push. Plus, remember, Embiid and Simmons are going to be better. They're still young players developing. I think Philly's on track.
Well, if you're Orlando and you want to get a win, it's easy. Pass it to Fournier. The Magic relied on him, and it paid off. Orlando and Detroit came down to the wire. In one night, 5 players scoring 40 points or more. It's happened 3 times. LaMarcus Aldridge almost became the 5th player, finished with 38 points for the San Antonio Spurs. Kemba Walker scored 24 points in the 4th quarter in a losing effort to lead all scorers. Jamal Murray hit 9 3-pointers, and James Harden notched his 3rd straight 40-point game. So of the guys on that list, who impressed you the most on Saturday?
Well, I think it's a combination between Murray as well as James Harden. I mean, James Harden over the last 9 games has averaged more than 35 points. He's really put the Houston Rockets on his back, and he's been a one-man wrecking crew. This with Chris Paul out and Eric Gordon, going out in their last game with a knee injury. So, I mean, he's an ISO maniac. Nobody can stop him, and he's been on a tear at the beginning of the season.
Yeah, you know what? I agree with you. I mean, Harden, it's almost laughable now. He's doing this with such consistency. I'm going to go with Jamal Murray. The fact the guy shoots 9 of 11 from 3. You're looking at a team right now that has a chance to be the 1 seed in the Western Conference, coming out of nowhere with how well they played this year, dominant at home. They're proving that they're a legit team, being above 500 on the road. And this guy just continues to put forth some amazing performances. Not sure if he's a point guard or shooting guard, but he's been playing really good basketball for this Nuggets team.
No votes for Kemba Walker, though.
Well, they lost.
Yeah.
I know.
And Kemba's been great. They need to get him a little help, but they might want to try to play defense.
A little bit.
Charlotte.
Then key points there. Well, we have some breaking news tonight, and it involves, I guess, a former member of the Golden State Warriors and a champion in Patrick McCaw. The Warriors did not match his 2-year, $6 million offer from the Cleveland Cavaliers, so the 23-year-old wing is now a member of Cleveland. Warriors saved about $11 million in their luxury tax bill by not matching this offer. But Candace, the Warriors gave up a lot originally to get Patrick McCaw. So does this make sense to you considering what they gave up?
Well, when they interviewed Steve Kerr and Steph Curry at shoot-around yesterday, when he first signed the offer sheet with the Cleveland Cavs, they seemed a little bit surprised, but they knew that the team was going to have to move on. But obviously, owner Joe Lacob paid for that pick, $2.4 million to secure him from the Bucks. They had plans for him to be in the rotation this year. So to me, if I'm Patrick McCaw, you have an opportunity to be in a rotation on a championship contending team where you play on national television night in and night out, to now go to Cleveland and be buried kind of in Cleveland after the LeBron era where they're trying to figure it out. So I think it's a tough situation, but obviously both parties have moved on.
Yeah, and I would say from the Warriors standpoint, they were fortunate because he's coming off a disappointing year. So, and it's not as if they didn't know that if they signed him that there was going to be an issue with the luxury tax. I was under the impression that because they probably sensed like, you know what, this could be, we could see the light at the end of this tunnel in terms of this dynasty. This might be our last year. We're having issues right now with our depth. You know, yes, he had a disappointing season, but he's familiar with our system and he gives us some versatility on the perimeter. You know, it's worth 1 year because in essence, it's not a fully guaranteed deal. But they chose to go in a different direction. And for Patrick, he will at least get the opportunity to play more minutes, you know, and also in a different system. You know, that's the other thing, too. You know, as great as Golden State is and as beautiful as it is to watch, it doesn't fit everybody's ability in terms of how they function best. And so you could maybe say that had something to do with it from McCaw's thinking. You know, he wants to get into a situation where he gets to have the ball in his hand a little more. You know, it's a lot more predicated on ball movement, spacing, your ability to play without it. So it's hard to say what all factored into it. But I would assume that Golden State coming into the season was under the impression that they would be able to re-sign Patrick McCaw.
Certainly an interesting situation to see the Golden State Warriors lose Patrick McCaw during the season to a restricted free agent. That's something we don't